In his 30th year, Japanese reigning middleweight champion Goshima Miyabi reflects on his life as a boxer, where he began his training and the cloudy future ahead. The boxing public believes his time to retire and give up his grip on the sport is to come in a soon-to-be tomorrow. Yet Goshima continues to shatter every challenger before him, never once being knocked down. 30 is old for a boxer, at least for a human. This is Taiyo Matsumoto's 1990-91 manga, Zero, about a boxer who's dealing with an aging legacy and a public who's growing bored and continually afraid of the antagonizing man holding the championship belt. How will he choose to end his career that he's not entirely sure of his motivation for? Goshima boxes under the name of Zero, and we begin the manga with him defending his title from American contender Mike Lewis. Goshima stands, smiling, as he walks onto the ring, because he knows what will happen. He's never seen anyone strong enough to put fear in him. This one's no exception. Opposite from this, Mike and his coach discuss in their corner how Goshima is aging, and should be easy to fell with a knockdown. Surely, legends in boxing aren't real when in the ring. They are truly unaware of Zero's mind-breaking punches and his hope-smothering aura. As he walks past the reporters, Goshima decides he'll win as he so quickly drops the smile and adapts to the square rope enclosure. We see Goshima become alive in the ring as the match starts, Zero focusing on systematically abusing his opponent, who's only now cursing himself for agreeing to this match as he kneels on the floor from just one combo. Zero enthusiastically enjoys crushing Mike. This anticlimactic introductory fight is interspersed with dialogue between Araki, Goshima's coach, discussing with Goshima's doctor concerning the health of the fighter, which is uncommonly stable for his age, yet the doctor is afraid of Zero's mental balance. Where most boxers have hobbies and dreams away from the sport, all limiting their strength, Goshima is pure in his vigor for boxing. He has no foundation other than playing in the ring. Zero only lives for destruction, and Goshima is always Zero. Goshima is a pure boxer, and the first chapter really shows us, as it draws attention to how ruthless he is in his unwavering fists. Even the crowd can only look on in fear-fueled amazement until the bell rings and they can cheer on their renewed champion. They can't really appreciate Goshima's fists, they only appreciate the end of the match and Mike's disbelief of legends. Zero is too much. He's not a hero that people can gain hope from. Zero's a machine. But Goshima himself isn't a monster of pure violence. He enjoys some of the finer things in life, such as flowers and maintaining his plants, as we are welcomed into his home with a discussion between him and boyish reporter Peko, a rare friend of Goshima. There exists another middleweight champion with growing rumors, one Travis from Mexico. Peko believes his strength might actually impress Goshima, but Goshima remains interested in his flowers. He sees them as beautiful because they wilt, their contrast in life and death what captures them. It's the greatness in the flower's decay, they don't stick around forever. Although Goshima seems to initially ignore Peko's introduction of Travis, an intrigue in the fighter has become planted in him, as Travis is rumored to have accidentally killed his sparring partner with gloves and headgear. Perhaps Goshima might have a real contender to fight, someone with equally brutal and wild fists. The public believes that Goshima's true fight, with time, will be lost. He'll become weaker through age, and because of these pushover matches, his legacy is projected to end pitifully, with him never truly astonishing these audiences. And yet, Goshima continues to fight, rather than retire with grace, as many implore him to. Travis might be the great last stand, newcomer versus the great Zero. It's a very exciting and marketable match, which boxing manager Kurihara discusses with Araki to get his approval in setting it up. Kurihara believes all that people want is thrill, the potential for someone to actually knock down Zero, replacing him. He sees a lot of money in it. Araki disapproves the idea. He's created Goshima, and is in some ways responsible for his success. He doesn't want Goshima to end his career with a loss. He wants to prolong it with a series of catered matches, allowing Zero's career to peter out over a few more years. This dialogue, and many others in the manga, are interesting because they have a defensive stiffness to them. The two lay out all they believe, yet are not willing to value the other's statement. It demonstrates Araki and Kurihara's values, while also showing how uneasy and argumentative they are to change, because these old men have to think about something like Goshima's career ending. It's money versus security that the two men discuss, about the future of Zero and his legacy in the boxing narrative. But it's fundamentally introducing us to Goshima's desire, something not dealing with the materialistic business, but a developing existential philosophy. We see Goshima at the end of his career, a really interesting position because we understand 30's old for a boxer, yet young for anyone else to retire. Goshima is on the precipice of his future. He's forced to make a decision alone but he seems not totally concerned with the far future. He thinks much more about the past, delving back to it for perhaps the first time since he's become the champion, because that title doesn't mean anything to him anymore. You aren't the strongest because you can destroy those who are weaker, whose fists don't exist solely for boxing. His success doesn't distract him anymore. He's beginning to think about his purpose. Goshima's biggest value is his fists, but his last dozen opponents have started to waste away his fists without them being honed, his strength dwindling and not being challenged. Goshima's only request to Araki was to find an unbreakable toy, a fighter Goshiма could go without limit in fighting, because he sees boxing as playing. He has no hate in his fists. He's still somewhat the child that Araki began training him from, only a bit bitter that Araki's promise to find him a suitable opponent has yet to be found for him. Because of the dwindling hype for Goshima, he gets requested to fight Takada, a disciple of Goshima, who's watched so many of his fights and personally trained alongside him. Takada, a growing rookie, is starting to believe that Zero is dead. Takada can use the Goshima that's taught him so much as a stepping stone in his career. Takada is like many others around Goshima. They see him only as a tool for fame or wealth. Takada doesn't respect Goshima and seeks to understand him as a friend, still less, because he's only ever been a boxer to him. In all these years, Goshima has fought and conquered in the ring. He's had no other dream, left no other impact to anyone, other than show his unlovable strength. This is why even someone who should respect him, seen in Takada, has started to climb over his legacy to become the next Zero. Goshima needs a usurper in the ring, someone even younger and greater to take his championship. People want someone they can look up to, like the young and charismatic Takada, someone they can cheer for in the ring. There is a real possibility that Zero's legacy is really just in losing all its glory so that in Goshima's final fight, he may bring life to a new boxer's journey. Like the actions of a dying flower, Goshima's career is wilting. It's what he sees as beautiful in his life. Not that it lasted forever, but that it disappeared. Though, what will be his final fight? Is his retirement and giving up what Goshima only truly has bring potential to a new beginning? This is a theme that I think is most greatly encapsulated and televised in Zero. Beginning and end, and the cycle of everything. It's interesting because Goshima isn't concerned about the future. His determinism is purely in the present, and the near future of his last fight adds power to the theme in only 2 volumes. Whether his belief in this being the end is relatable, it is at least built up to be somewhat honorable, because it's something that Goshima holds to himself, something intimately him. Only we are able to see his decision in its totality, helped by every side character's puzzle piece of an opinion that pretexts the beautiful perspective on dealing with future and legacies in the manga. Like Araki's fear for what he's helped Goshima become, yet ultimately beginning to take some responsibility and allowing Goshima his wish of fighting Travis. It reminds us so much with the finality of things, yet always shows us the possibility, no matter how improbable, that things could continue growing in Goshima. Boxers can become something else, just as they originally became boxers, seen in how quickly some of Goshima's opponents drop out after he so totally destroys them, partly because Zero reminds them of what they could become, someone whose violence won't even be celebrated by the crowd. The element in Goshima always remaining mysterious and cryptic makes him unpredictable in his possibilities, which adds so much interest to the final. At the end, coming into the final volume, we realize it's not the strength to fight that time has been taken away from Goshima, it's the strength to change. Now the question isn't what Goshima will do, not just if he will win or lose, it's if this fight will end with him realizing anything at all, or just blow over like any other previous fight, him having to step out of the ring unfulfilled. Can Goshima become something other than a tool for President Kurihara's wallet, the Araki figure believing what's best for him, or the entertainment of the audience? Can Goshima have a purpose after this all ends? Will Travis show Goshima a way forward, or can Goshima at least impart some meaning to this modern, blooming flower of a fighter? The reason he boxes still is that someone might truly come to love his fists. What he knows is his only self-worthy trait in this life, yet is also paradoxically what makes him feared and unloved by so many. Matsumoto does a great job with the art in Zero, whether it's the staging of scenes that quickly pull you in, with the backgrounds along with the paneling that can transport you into the ring with each punch fully emphasized. Many panels use a lot of technique with the perspective, like the fisheye lens's view of subjects, and also how the background will occasionally fade to black or white. It makes everything cinematic and interesting. Matsumoto really blended in a lot of techniques that make Zero present like a film as you're reading it, and I think that's great. Obviously, Matsumoto's designs themselves also have a unique look to them. There's a lot of thin, detailed lines that construct everyone, with the attentioned wrinkles showing everyone's age quite well, how much time's put weight on them. The flow and movement of each match is drawn with such dynamic fluidity and stillness at each right moment. He really knows when to move forward and when to linger on just a little to make the impacts and consequences of every action, like a punch, so poignant. At times, though, the art can vary a bit too much. It's less refined in comparison to his future works like Pong, and even across the same page, there will be gaps too big for you to really transition between, so it does have a few inconsistent moments that distract from the core of the scenes, rather than adding to the narratives. However, I do strongly believe that the art elevates the story tremendously the vast majority of the time, especially in capturing the real pain and uncertainty every character experiences, and it always has something interesting and unique, which really holds on to you. In conclusion, to quickly round things off, I think you should read Zero, as its 2 volumes almost makes it like a one-shot experience, like a movie. It's short, yet manages to hold an interesting dive into the character of Goshima, by the end showing a fairly complete view of the man, and our understanding of his motivation is captivating. Although Zero is not Matsumoto's best work, you can get a lot from this story, especially if you've read the manga that really inspired and parallels this work, Ashita no Jo. But even aside from this comparison, it's a good standalone work. I'd rate Zero by Taiyo Matsumoto a 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching. I really like Matsumoto. Of course, I've already reviewed Zamurai and Pong if you want to check out those videos. I'll hopefully review some of his other works because I really like him. And yeah, every time I read a new story about him, it's just very, very interesting. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe if you do. And I don't know, man. Have a good day.